There is a reason you felt what others around you can't even begin to understand. This isn't something you can explain to just anyone, and it's not supposed to be. Because this feeling you carry, this deep and undeniable awareness inside you, is not random. It's not coincidence. It's not your imagination running wild. This is the signal of the chosen, a spiritual activation, divinely timed and deeply personal. If you've ever felt out of place in rooms full of people, if your intuition has ever screamed louder than the world's logic, if you've sensed things before they happened, then you are one of the few. This video is for you. Watch this video until the end, because it was made to reach you at the exact moment you were meant to see it. And if your soul resonates with these words, let your energy rise. Write your warmest wishes and the number 77 in the comments below. Let your intentions flow with the pulse of this message. The universe is listening, and it's your energy that sets everything in motion. One wish, one number, one divine signal sent back to the stars. This feeling that you cannot describe in words, the one that pulls you awake at night or gives you chills in the middle of a sunny day, is not just emotion, it's remembrance. It's something within you that remembers where you came from, why you're here, and what you're destined to do. Chosen ones don't need external proof, because they feel the truth echoing inside their being. You weren't made for normal. You weren't made to blend in. That unease you feel in situations that others tolerate or celebrate, that's your spirit rejecting the ordinary. You were created to transform the atmosphere, not absorb it. People may have tried to convince you that you're too sensitive, too intense, too much, but what they don't know is that your depth is your power. The energy you feel so intensely is a compass that only the chosen understand. It leads you through the unseen, and while others operate based on logic and habit, you move by an internal signal that defies explanation. That's because you're not following the world, you're following destiny. You've likely gone through storms that others didn't survive, and yet you're still here. Not broken, but reborn. Not weaker, but wiser. That feeling you carry is not a burden. It's your divine indicator. You may feel alone, but you're never alone. The reason it seems like no one understands is because you weren't meant to be like everyone else. This path has been sacredly carved for you. When the universe chooses someone to carry light, it separates them for preparation. That ache you feel is growth. That isolation, it's initiation. You're not being rejected, you're being refined. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. And the reason it hurts is because your soul is stretching beyond the limits others are content with. The pain isn't proof that you're off track. It's confirmation that you're exactly where you need to be. Think back to the times when everything around you was falling apart, yet a strange peace would rise inside you. That wasn't luck or denial. That was the divine gift of endurance. That's what it means to be chosen. You survive what others couldn't, not because you're better, but because your calling is bigger. Your life holds blueprints that are still unfolding. And that feeling, it's the signal that the next phase is approaching. It's not random. It's the cue that your spirit is picking up on divine frequencies. The invisible realm is guiding you. You may not see all the pieces now, but soon you'll realize everything is connected, perfectly, deliberately, and eternally. Chosen ones carry a vibration that disrupts the status quo. You were born with a frequency that disturbs low energy. That's why certain people try to silence you or shrink you. That's why your very presence can cause tension in rooms without saying a word. Your energy speaks louder than most people's voices. You are a mirror to truth, and not everyone is ready to face themselves. But don't let that discourage you. You are not here to please. You are here to awaken. And those who are meant for your light will find it. They will recognize you not by your words, but by the feeling you bring. Everything about your journey has been preparing you for this moment. Every closed door, every delay, every betrayal, it all had a purpose. Nothing was wasted. Every time you were pushed to your knees, something deeper in you was activated. And that feeling inside you right now, it's telling you that a shift is here. It's telling you that the next level is near. You're not losing your mind. You're receiving instructions. And they're not coming through logic. They're coming through vibration. Chosen ones don't wait for signs. They feel them. And right now, your spirit is screaming that change is on the horizon. You may notice that your dreams are becoming more vivid, your emotions more intense, your desires more aligned. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. Your soul is syncing with the higher timeline meant for you. The path you've walked has been full of trials, but those trials have been your training. You've learned to walk through fire. You've learned to keep your faith when everything looked hopeless. That is why this feeling doesn't belong to the crowd. It belongs to the called. It belongs to those who carry the weight of destiny in silence. You didn't ask for this gift, but it chose you anyway. And now, the universe is beginning to reveal the why. The curtain is lifting. The delays are ending. The fog is clearing. And the reason you feel this undeniable shift in your body, your spirit, your surroundings, is because what was once hidden is about to be made visible. You are not imagining this. You are sensing the reality before it manifests. That's the mark of the chosen. You are not late. You are right on divine time. Trust that. Anchor into it. The energy flowing through you now is not random. It is sacred. It is the whisper of your next breakthrough arriving before your eyes see it. Chosen one, you are being led. Don't doubt the signal. You're closer than you've ever been. There are moments when you suddenly pause, mid-thought, mid-conversation, mid-step, and feel something stirring in the atmosphere. It may last just a second, or stretch into an hour, but its weight is unmistakable. It's not anxiety. It's not overthinking. It's alignment. That's the feeling. It doesn't ask for your attention. It commands it. And it doesn't come often, because it's not designed to be a regular occurrence. It's a divine signal, rare, precise, unmistakable, and when it shows up, it's because something is shifting in the unseen. This is the feeling of alignment with a timeline higher than your own plans. It's the pull of your purpose, pressing into the now. Most people don't feel this. They're tuned out, distracted, walking through life half asleep, chasing what's easy, never asking what's real. But you're different. You've always sensed when something bigger was calling your name. Even before you knew what it was, you could feel it, and that alone sets you apart. This feeling is heaven's way of tapping your shoulder, quietly but forcefully reminding you, there is more. The world may not validate it, friends might not understand it, but your spirit knows the truth. You've been marked with a divine code, and that code activates when you're about to step into new realms of influence, revelation, and spiritual territory. And yes, it can be overwhelming. The chosen often feel everything at once: joy, sorrow, pressure, expansion. Your senses are heightened, your discernment sharpens. People think you're emotional, but you're actually tuned in. What they call mood swings are actually energy shifts. What they call overreaction is spiritual awareness. The intensity you feel isn't weakness, it's spiritual strength. You're not reacting to the world. You're responding to energy. You feel the currents before the waves hit. That's not a curse. That's a gift, a sacred one. That's why your energy can't stay in toxic places for long. It starts to ache. That ache is your signal. You were never meant to settle in low-frequency environments. You've walked through pain that cracked you open, not to break you, but to awaken you. And because of that pain, your sensitivity became your sword. You feel more, see more, know more. That's not softness. That's spiritual technology. It allows you to navigate life on a deeper level. It protects you from lies and distractions. It leads you into truth before it even unfolds. The world may call it paranoia, but the chosen know better. It's prophecy in motion. When you feel something rise up in your chest, in your core, in your bones, and you can't explain why, you must know you're being prepared to shift dimensions. You're being shown that what's next isn't far, it's near, and your body can already feel it. You don't have to force your way forward. The chosen aren't pushed, they're pulled. This feeling doesn't come from effort, it comes from alignment. And the more you trust it, the more it reveals. But here's the truth. Many will abandon this path before it blooms. Why? Because it's lonely, because it demands surrender, because it requires you to believe in what you cannot yet see. But you, if you're hearing this now, are being called to hold on, to stay connected, to let this feeling take you deeper. It's not here to tease you. It's here to transform you. The energy you feel is evidence of something coming into form. And it's yours if you don't give up. Remember how many times you doubted yourself, only to discover later that your intuition was right. That was never luck. That was the chosen code working through you. You've always had it. The only difference now is that you're finally recognizing it, owning it, walking in it. And this is why the feeling has returned stronger than ever. It's because you're ready now, ready for the truth, ready for the shift, ready to release the version of yourself that was created in survival and step into the version that was always destined to thrive. You don't need permission to do this. You only need to say yes to the signal. There are days when you feel it so strongly that you can't function the same way. Music sounds different. The sky looks clearer. Time feels slower. And people around you start revealing their true colors. That's not just emotion, it's elevation. It's your soul rising in frequency, syncing with the new path ahead. And with each rise comes a release. You'll outgrow people, mindsets, patterns, habits, not out of ego, but out of truth. You're not leaving people behind. You're returning to yourself. That's the feeling, the sacred pull of coming home to the soul you were always meant to embody. So if you're feeling it now, don't run from it. Sit with it. Breathe into it. Let it guide you, even when it doesn't make sense. Especially then, because the chosen are not led by logic. They are led by light. And the light never lies. You are being pulled because you are ready. Ready to receive the next message. Ready to step into the next version of your purpose. Ready to activate the truth you've always carried. That feeling inside of you is the signal you've waited your whole life to hear. And when it comes, you'll know this was never random. You were chosen from the beginning. There's a reason this feeling arrives in silence. It doesn't announce itself with loud fireworks or public attention. It shows up in quiet rooms, in the stillness of night, or in the middle of ordinary tasks. That's because the truly chosen aren't found in noise. They're found in the quiet, where destiny speaks the loudest. And when that inner vibration begins, you don't need confirmation from the world. You don't need to explain it to anyone, because somewhere deep in your bones, You already know. Something has begun. You were never meant to walk the path that others follow. You were never designed to blend in or be easily understood. That's why you've always felt a little out of place in crowded rooms. That's why you've struggled to stay comfortable in situations everyone else seems to enjoy. You weren't created for comfort. You were created for calling. And this feeling, this pulse within you, is the gentle reminder that your path is divine, not familiar. It won't look like anyone else's, and it won't feel easy, but it will feel right, and that's how you know it's real. People may have misunderstood you, some even rejected you, and at times that made you question your worth. You wondered if you were doing something wrong. But what if you were doing something right all along? What if the friction you felt wasn't resistance, it was redirection? What if the discomfort wasn't a warning? It was a whisper from the universe telling you that you were never meant to stay where you were. The chosen experience this feeling as a kind of holy discontent, a sacred dissatisfaction that won't let them settle for a life that's less than what was written for them. And make no mistake, this isn't just intuition, it's sacred instruction. When this feeling floods your system, it's not asking you to be curious, it's asking you to be courageous. It wants action, not frantic movement, but faithful movement. This is the part where your faith will be tested, not just in what you believe, but in who you believe you are. Because when you begin to follow this internal compass, everything that no longer serves your soul will begin to fall away. And yes, it may look like loss at first, but it's not loss. It's light making space for something greater. That's why the chosen often walk through seasons of isolation. You might be surrounded by people and still feel unseen. That's not emptiness, it's elevation. You're being lifted into a space where your old environment can't reach. The isolation isn't punishment, it's protection, it's preparation. Because what's coming requires clarity, and clarity comes from solitude. In this solitude, that feeling becomes clearer, louder, more undeniable. It becomes the rhythm your life begins to move to, the invisible metronome of destiny. And during this process, old identities begin to fade. You stop identifying with your past wounds, your failures, your mistakes. You stop answering to names that no longer define you. You stop agreeing with the versions of yourself that were born out of fear and scarcity. Instead, you start remembering who you were before the world told you who to be, who you were before the trauma, before the conditioning. That's what the feeling comes to unlock, the remembrance of your original self. The truth is, the chosen don't wake up one day and feel ready. They wake up one day and realize they've been chosen all along. And now it's time to respond. Not with perfection, not with a flawless plan, but with alignment, with surrender, with a simple yes. And in that yes, the path starts to unfold, not all at once, but step by step, feeling by feeling, confirmation by confirmation. And each time you trust it, the next step becomes more clear. You start to see the hidden meanings in conversations. You start to hear messages in music that others don't catch. You notice the signs, the patterns, the timing. Nothing feels random anymore, because it's not. Your entire life starts to feel orchestrated by something far greater than chance. And it is. That's what being chosen feels like. You begin to see the fingerprints of the divine on everything. Even the things that once broke you start to make sense. Even the detours were directions. Even the delays were disguised blessings. You see, the chosen don't avoid the fire. They walk through it. And not because they're fearless, but because they know what's on the other side is worth it. You may have walked through fire alone, but you didn't come out empty-handed. You came out refined, purified, aware, awake. And now that you've been through it, this feeling is coming back stronger because it's time. Time to step up, time to expand, time to speak the truth you've been carrying inside your soul for years. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to be famous to be favored. What you need is to keep saying yes to the feeling, over and over, even when it leads you into unknown territory, because it always will. But that's where miracles live. In the unknown, that's where the chosen thrive. And as long as you honor that feeling, as long as you keep moving when it stirs within you, you will never miss what's meant for you. Because this isn't about luck. This is about legacy. And legacy doesn't come from the outside. It starts inside, right where this feeling lives. The world often teaches us to ignore our deeper instincts, to suppress what we feel in favor of what we can prove. It celebrates logic and dismisses the invisible. But those who are truly chosen cannot live like that. They are built differently. They are guided by a current that runs beneath the surface. And when this feeling rises, no explanation is needed, only obedience. There is a unique kind of knowing that comes with being chosen. It doesn't shout. It doesn't come with certificates or applause. It comes quietly, often in moments when everything else seems uncertain. And yet somehow, you feel certain. That's how you know. It doesn't match your current reality. It defies it. You're not reacting to the life you have. You're responding to the life that's calling you. This feeling becomes a signal in your soul. It shows up when you're doing something small, something seemingly insignificant, and suddenly you're overwhelmed with a sense of meaning. You look around and nothing's changed, but inside you, everything has. That's not coincidence. That's destiny knocking. It's not just a nudge. It's a full-body recognition that something sacred is unfolding. And when that moment comes, you can't go back to how things were. You'll try to make sense of it. You'll wonder why now, why this moment. But the chosen aren't selected because of their perfection. They're chosen because of their potential. They're chosen because even in their brokenness, they stayed available. Even in doubt, they stayed open. Even when everything fell apart, they kept their hearts soft. And that softness, that willingness to feel when others shut down, is exactly what invites the divine to move through them. If you've ever wondered why your life felt heavier, why your battles seemed harder, why your nights stretched longer, it's because the chosen carry more. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. There's a weight to this feeling because it carries responsibility. To not just see what others don't, but to act on it. To speak when it would be easier to stay silent. To step forward when the rest are retreating. This feeling isn't random because your role isn't random. It's strategic. It's sacred. And here's the truth. Not everyone will understand you. That's part of being chosen. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be aligned. And alignment often feels lonely before it feels fulfilling. You'll have to walk away from familiar things. You'll have to release people, patterns, even versions of yourself that can't come with you. That's not failure. That's faith in motion. That's what the feeling leads to. A kind of shedding that makes space for your higher self to emerge. You felt it before, when something told you to leave that room, end that relationship, start that project, speak that truth. You didn't know why, but you felt it. That wasn't anxiety. That wasn't imagination. That was guidance. And each time you ignored it, you felt off course. But each time you followed it, something powerful aligned. The chosen are learning to trust that this internal signal is not here to confuse them. It's here to elevate them. This feeling will demand more from you, more honesty, more courage, more trust. It will call you to stretch beyond the comfortable. It will lead you into moments that test your patience, challenge your timing, and require your deepest strength. But every time you answer, you become more of who you were always meant to be. This feeling is not here to entertain your ego. It's here to awaken your essence. You'll start to see how everything in your life was preparing you for this moment. The heartbreaks weren't wasted. The setbacks weren't failures. They were training grounds. They taught you to listen deeper, to see clearer, to hold on tighter to what really matters. The chosen don't become chosen when everything goes right. They're revealed in the middle of everything going wrong and still saying, "I'm not done." And that's what this feeling is doing. It's whispering, "You're not done. You've barely begun. What's ahead of you is bigger than what's behind you." What's being stirred in your soul isn't some passing emotion. It's a call to rise, not just once, but daily. To rise above the noise, the fear, the past. To rise into your own power, not the version someone else assigned to you. The version you've always known existed within you, waiting for this exact time. So let others wait for proof. Let others question the timing. But you, if you feel this, you don't need all the answers. You just need to keep walking. You need to keep showing up to what you feel. Because the path for the chosen doesn't begin with clarity. It begins with surrender. And every step you take in faith sends a message to the universe. I'm ready. Not because you figured it all out, but because you finally stopped ignoring the one thing that's never steered you wrong, this feeling. There comes a moment in every chosen one's life where silence becomes the loudest voice in the room, not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of sacred confirmation. It happens when you've walked far enough with this feeling, when you've let it guide you through confusion, doubt, and even heartbreak, and you suddenly realize you've been led exactly where you were meant to be all along. It didn't make sense then, but now it's undeniable. Something greater was always orchestrating your steps. You start to see signs in places you used to overlook. Not just physical signs, but energetic alignments, unspoken confirmations, a sudden idea that clicks, a stranger's words that feel handpicked for your spirit, a door opening exactly when you were about to give up. These aren't accidents. These are the markers of a life that's been tapped by purpose, and the chosen feel them more often because they're tuned in. They've stopped dismissing the small things because they know the divine often hides in what the world calls random. But make no mistake, this path will cost you. It will ask you to trade comfort for clarity. It will challenge you to move before everything is ready. You'll have to trust in what you feel even when nothing around you supports it. That's what separates the truly chosen from the casually curious. Most people want signs. The chosen respond to signals. Most people need proof. The chosen move on presence. They know when that sacred stirring hits, it's time to go. No explanations necessary. This isn't about escaping life. It's about embodying a higher version of it. The chosen aren't meant to avoid challenges. They're built to confront them with wisdom and vision. That feeling you carry isn't there to shield you from life. It's there to sharpen you for it. It's how you navigate through the storms others get lost in. It's how you recognize opportunities before they bloom. It's why you walk into rooms and shift the atmosphere. Because you're not just walking with talent, you're walking with truth. People around you might call it a gift, but to you, it feels like a responsibility. You can't ignore what others dismiss. You can't pretend not to care. You can't unsee what you've seen. That's the weight of being chosen. You feel deeper. You notice more. You carry what others cast aside. But in that sensitivity lies your superpower. It's not a weakness. It's divine intelligence moving through your humanity. And every time you honor that sensitivity, instead of suppressing it, you step more fully into the person you were born to become. You may have asked yourself, why do I always feel different? It's not your imagination. You are different. The chosen are called out for a reason, because they're not here to blend in. You've probably had seasons where you tried to fit the mold, shrink yourself, water down your truth. But that never works, does it? Because this feeling, the one that only the truly chosen experience, refuses to be ignored. It pushes back every time you try to become someone else. It pulls you back into alignment, not to punish you, but to protect you from wasting your life on a path that isn't yours. You were never meant to walk the conventional road. That's why it's always felt so unnatural. That's why every time you tried to follow the crowd, you felt disconnected. The chosen thrive in authenticity. Their power is in their originality. That's why, when you stop imitating and start flowing from within, everything around you begins to shift. The energy changes, people notice, and the right doors start to open. Not because you forced them, but because you finally walked in truth. This is what makes the journey so sacred. It's not about how loud you can be. It's about how aligned you can stay. The more you honor this inner compass, the more the universe conspires to support you. It's not magic, it's resonance. You're sending out a signal with every bold step, every honest choice, every surrendered moment. I trust the call more than the chaos. And that trust changes everything. It changes how you handle delay. It changes how you interpret pain. It changes how you see yourself when no one's watching. Because you stop looking for validation and start moving from conviction. You know what you feel is real, even if others can't name it. You know what's pulling at you is sacred, even if it hasn't been proven yet. And you're willing to move anyway. That's power. That's what makes you chosen. Not because you have something others don't, but because you're willing to follow what others ignore. The world will try to distract you. Life will try to convince you to settle. But this feeling, this holy, unmistakable feeling, won't let you. It was planted in you for a reason. It will continue to whisper until you fully answer, not just with your words, but with your actions, your choices, your courage. And when you do, you'll notice that the impossible starts to feel reachable. The delayed starts to feel near. The struggle starts to feel meaningful. Not because the road gets easier, but because your alignment gets deeper. And here's what's even more powerful. Once you fully accept that you're chosen, that this feeling is real, you begin to activate it in others. Your presence becomes a mirror. Your walk becomes a message. Without even speaking, you begin to awaken something in those around you, reminding them of the call they've been trying to ignore. That's the ripple effect of divine awareness. That's the legacy of the chosen. Not to live for themselves, but to light the path for others. There's something remarkable that begins to happen when you finally stop fighting that deep, mysterious feeling inside you. When you stop questioning its timing. When you stop doubting your worthiness. When you stop asking for permission to be who you were always meant to be. You arrive at a sacred stillness, not the kind that isolates you, but the kind that roots you. A knowing that this feeling isn't here to confuse you. It's here to confirm you. To show you that the path you've been walking, no matter how strange or unpredictable, has always been guided by something greater. The truly chosen don't stumble onto their purpose by accident. They're led by this feeling, this intuitive current that flows beneath every disappointment, behind every closed door, and through every moment of waiting. You've likely felt it when no one understood you, when everything was quiet, when no one believed in the vision but you. But it stayed with you. This feeling lingered. It stayed when people left. It grew when life broke. It returned stronger after every time you wanted to give up. And now it's louder than ever. Not because something outside of you changed, but because you changed. You've endured enough to know the difference between noise and truth, between empty applause and sacred alignment, between quick thrills and quiet conviction. And now, you're no longer asking, "Why do I feel this?" You're declaring, "I was born for this." That's the shift. That's the turning point only the truly chosen reach. Because this feeling isn't about emotion. It's about energy. It's a pulse from the divine, a coded whisper that only those wired for destiny can interpret. While others look for signs in the sky, you've learned to listen to the rhythm of your soul. While others seek validation from the crowd, you've learned to walk silently in certainty, because you know what's coming. You can feel it before it arrives. That's why your movements feel strange to others. That's why people can't understand your urgency. They don't hear what you hear. They don't feel what you feel. You're not being dramatic. You're being prepared. Every instinct, every subtle nudge, every divine pause has been teaching you how to read between reality and revelation. You've been trained in the dark, not to just survive, but to recognize light when it finally shows. That's why you're so sensitive to timing now. That's why you can't fake it anymore. You've grown past that. The chosen don't pretend. They're too aware. They carry too much truth. This awareness is a gift, but also a responsibility. Because once you've been awakened by this feeling, you can't go back to sleep. You can't go back to small. You can't settle for halfway. You can't play roles that were never written for your soul. And the more you accept this, the more your life starts to look different. Your desires change. Your circle shifts. Your language evolves. You start speaking from depth instead of damage, from clarity instead of confusion, from power instead of pain. It's not that the struggle disappears, it's that your response to it transforms. You don't crumble the way you used to. You don't over-explain yourself anymore. You don't entertain distractions that dilute your destiny, because now you know who you are. Not because someone told you, but because the feeling confirmed it. And that internal confirmation is more powerful than any external recognition. This is the fruit of the journey. This is the evidence of being truly chosen. You stop waiting to be seen and start walking like you've already been sent. You stop looking for a roadmap and start trusting the rhythm. You stop asking, "What if it doesn't work?" and start saying, "I'm here for a reason." That's not arrogance, it's alignment. And it only comes after you've wrestled with the feeling long enough to let it refine you. You may not always be able to explain it. You may still have moments where you feel alone with it, but never doubt its origin. Never forget that this feeling was planted in you, not to torment you, but to activate you. You're not imagining it. You're not overthinking it. You're being called. That's what this is. A divine pull toward a higher reality, a deeper truth, a more powerful life. So hold it close. Let it guide you. Let it speak louder than your fears. Let it pull you forward when everything around you tries to hold you back. Because the ones who change the world are the ones who listen to the feeling no one else can hear. And you've already heard it. That's why you're here. That's why you've made it this far. That's why life hasn't broken you. It's been shaping you. That's why no matter how many times you've fallen, you keep rising. Because this feeling won't let you stay down. It's not finished with you. It never was. This is your moment. Not to become someone new, but to remember who you've always been. To walk fully in that knowing. To stop shrinking. To stop second-guessing. To stop apologizing for the gift that only the truly chosen carry. You are called to feel this, to carry it, to follow it, and to become the proof that the feeling was real all along, because it is. And now, the world is about to see what only you and the divine have known all this time. You were chosen. You were marked. You were born with this feeling for a reason. And that reason is waking up, right now.